Good morning, everyone. I'm Sidonie. I'm really delighted to be here from the marine planning team at the MMO. I also have a terrestrial planning background, so that's definitely come in handy in terms of what I'm going to talk to you about just now. So the project I'll be talking about aimed to scope out the barriers, challenges and opportunities to local decision making within a marine planning context. The slide shows you the areas I will cover. The QR code will take you to the report and a 2-page summary, should you wish to have a look. The need for localised integrated planning has been an ambition of the MMO for many years and is embedded in organisational objectives. To understand the key drivers and ambitions for localised marine planning in England and to explore what a localised approach could look like, we commissioned Howe Marine Consulting to undertake the research. Ness Smith, who will join the panel, and Lucy Greenhill delivered this scoping project, as well as Elizabeth Brett from our evidence team, with support primarily from myself and Claire Kavanagh. So the journey so far. This slide shows you the journey so far in marine planning in England, from the Marine and Coastal Access Act to the East Marine Plan replacement work currently underway. The Marine Planning Wheel shows the process that was developed in the early years for plan development and the process that we continue to use. So how does this scoping project fit in? Well, one of the MMO's goals is managing a responsive and widely owned English marine planning framework. Plus, to achieve the marine planning team's mission includes keeping marine plans relevant. And this scoping project is about the continued evolution of marine planning, about local integrated governance. This work represents an initial step in exploring nested, multi-level marine planning approach in England to enhance equitable outcomes through more inclusive and participatory decision-making. Nested, in this case, means planning at different scales, where a local plan or a number of local marine plans may be developed within a region covered by an existing marine plan area and both within the context of a national policy framework. This is very much research. It's not current or at this stage future policy. A learning-based approach was taken to understand existing governance structures, to consider how these processes could be enhanced to support and deliver marine planning. International, national and regional examples and best practice were reviewed. The marine planning team, as well as academics and practitioners with a specialism in local decision-making, were engaged with to collectively consider these questions on the slide and consider what localised marine planning could look like, how it could be delivered, and the benefits of this approach. Moving on to barriers, challenges, and opportunities. And as we've heard this morning, central to this work is how people can be involved in the marine planning process and what it can do for them at the local level. Any local plan would need to influence real-life situations to be meaningful and justify engagement. This includes steering decision-making around competing uses for space, how and why certain uses are prioritised, and how prioritisation decisions are made. This presents a challenging situation in marine planning and requires managing expectations. There will be trade-offs to be considered across time, multiple scales, and sectors. Consideration would need to be given where land-sea policies and processes are not in alignment and how this could be enhanced to support integration at the coast. There are benefits to a statutory approach as this adds legitimacy based on anticipated influence, which can encourage engagement of stakeholders. However, statutory processes can also be limited in flexibility. A non-statutory approach can be helpful to move quickly in a learning-based way and can be more ambitious. For example, in terrestrial planning, non-statutory plans such as shoreline management plans can still be influential as they can be signposted. Effective engagement is key. A pilot study would need to ensure that the scope of the project is developed with the community and clearly communicated to stakeholders to maintain trust and engagement. Local decision-making requires development of evidence which informs a better understanding of issues at the local scale. The approach would therefore focus on developing more locally specific evidence which would provide more prescriptive guidance so that management decisions become better informed by local knowledge. this would need to be linked to the ongoing processes of evidence development at a national scale, including a strong connection with the MMO's evidence team. Funding and resources are key challenges, and local projects rely on long-term staff and funding, particularly as building working relationship takes time and can be hindered by high staff turnover. The communication of processes is an essential part of the capacity building needed to support this work. This includes addressing the knowledge gaps around how marine planning shapes licensing decisions within and outside of the MMO. In terms of a potential pilot, the project ultimately settled on 2 options, and the table here provides a high-level overview of the advantages and disadvantages. The first option would trial the development of a nested local authority scale marine plan, ideally within a local authority about to start developing a new local plan, so that the 2 processes are fully integrated, and could also potentially work with a coastal community to align the development of a neighbourhood plan. It's a clear, simple approach which is replicable and robust and lends itself to becoming a statutory process if desired. And it provides opportunities to trial marine and terrestrial integration. It's able to better reflect a scale of area people can recognise and relate to, which will also make it more understandable and accessible to decision makers too. However, it could take longer to develop methods and establish. And it is a new process, adding more layers of governance in an already complex environment. The second option is to tap into existing local authority projects and programmes using the local nature recovery strategy structure and partners as a focal point of delivery. Whilst the focus for LNRS is on nature recovery, this can be built on through the integration of existing terrestrial and coastal projects which are already considering local priorities. It offers a robust governance structure, is nationally coherent, and one responsible authority with the duty to work with partners. It offers a suitable framework which could be adapted to deliver local marine planning. However, DEFRA had initially permitted coastal counties to do a voluntary marine extension, but last summer the position was strengthened against this for now. A better place to start may therefore be with the coastal partnerships. Also, working across multiple projects will make coordination challenging and may mean compromises on the approach and outputs. With regards to the findings, through a literature review, workshop and other meetings, a consensus emerged regarding what to further explore. This included a roadmap of future work with these potential pilot options. Early engagement with potential partners would be essential, and both options would require further thought about how policies and all plans would be spatially expressed and how any spatial elements would be situated within and comply with the wider marine plan area and its marine plan. A robust monitoring, evaluation and learning programme will be an important part of the pilot to ensure that there's an opportunity to understand what elements have been successful and less successful and to incorporate those. The key conclusions were that developing a local approach to management is an increasingly strong ambition across many policy areas and jurisdictions, recognising the critical role of effective engagement and collaboration in the delivery of equitable outcomes. Continued internal support and funding is crucial. However, it is not a straightforward process, and there are many aspects to be considered during the development of new approaches and to be reflected upon as they're implemented. Whilst there is much work to be done and the delivery of a local pilot project is some way off, this scoping project has started the conversation and provided momentum to develop this work. So where are we now? We're working with the Coastal Partnership Network with a northwest focus to explore potential spatial scales for a pilot as part of the pre-pilot work and looking at stakeholder mapping more locally to understand who would need to be engaged with and how. We're also working with Sussex Bay and the University of Sussex on some case studies regarding local decisions. The aim of the pre-pilot stage is to undertake a more detailed assessment of the practical options for localised integrated marine planning to improve our understanding in order to have a comprehensive foundation in place for a full pilot phase that will deliver over multiple years and be thoroughly evaluated. So finally, it's a research project, it's not current or future policy at this stage, but the MMO recognises the potential benefits of a more localised approach and the next phase continues to be about scoping the art of the possible. It remains in pre-pilot phase, and future funding will also be key to what may be achievable. Thank you.